Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to this little extra mini-series where we're going to dive deeper and talk in more detail about our kick drums, our acoustic guitars, and our lead vocals. Unlike our main course content, we're going to have two different kicks to talk about, two different acoustic guitars, and two different lead vocals, which makes 6 tracks in total. All 6 I selected specifically because they feature unique EQ problems that required unique EQ solutions that we have not touched on yet in the main course content, which is nice. Also, I hope that you stick around through the duration of specifically the vocal videos, because I made time to touch on and review my normal vocal chain, which is cool. I won't be able to dive really deep on like how compression works, for example, but I will take a minute and just kind of walk through like, oh, this is an example of what my normal vocal chain typically looks like, just so you can have that info, put it in your pocket. Great, I think that's it. Let's just go ahead and dive in. This first video is talking all about kick. We're gonna do 2 things in this video. First, right now, we're gonna spend just a minute and check in about the frequencies of interest and common trouble spots with kick drums, and then we're gonna jump to Pro Tools and do our normal thing, isolate some frequencies, here's some before and afters, you know the drill. So, common frequencies of interest and trouble spots. First and foremost, when I open up the hood of any given kick drum, I'm going to identify the fundamental of the kick. That's usually between about 75 and 90 hertz. It could be as low as 55 if it's really, really low, or it could be as high as 90 or 95 if it's kind of thinner. I'm going to identify that fundamental and make sure that it feels strong and powerful and resonant. Next, I'm going to make sure that the attack of the drum, the literal sound of the beater hitting the head, is cutting through the mix. Or is it feeling underwater? Is it feeling buried? That is going to be usually between 2.5 and 5K. Sometimes there's valuable information as high as like 8K. It'll just take a minute for you to sweep around and kind of isolate like where is the core of that like clack sound that I'm looking for. Last, I will always high pass the kick, a little counterintuitively, of course. I high pass it at around 20-25 hertz. Again, that's just because that range is so low. We just don't need it, and we can easily clean up our processing chain by just axing that range off. Common trouble spot, the main one is always going to be an overpresent mid-range, so between 200 hertz and 1K. It's really common for that space to be overpresent, especially if you're working with a live recording, and it's essential that we take a minute and carve that space out, not only because it makes our kick drum sound boxy and honky and just generally unflattering, but that range is where we would like to place our guitars and our keys and our lead vocals, not our kick drum. So it's important that we take a minute, look at that space, make sure it is adequately scooped before moving on. So those are the big points there: fundamental, attack, high pass, scoop it on a mid-range. And that is usually our game plan for the kick. And with that said, I think I covered everything. With that said, let's jump to Pro Tools. Hey everybody, coming at you via voiceover. I'm not in my superimposed bubble that I usually am in. My video system was just self-destructing when I went to produce these videos. It just was not cooperating at all, so hope it's not a big deal. This first song we're going to look at is called Talk by Chris Blaydes. He's a great London-based bedroom indie pop singer-songwriter. I mixed the song. I didn't master the song. Just a quick tour of what we're looking at. This top track here is the song's instrumental. Below that is our main kick track, and then below that is our kick attack track, which is a cool little technique that I'm excited to show you in a minute. But before we get there, let's just listen to the song. This is going to be with the EQs engaged. Let's hear what we got.
There's a reason.
Nice. All right, let's hear the kick track, the main kick track in isolation with the EQ engaged. Cool. Let's turn off our EQ, hear what it sounded like when I got it. Wow. All right. So a big difference. The first band that I want to look at is this big, wide, mid-range cut that I'm making. Let's hear this range in isolation. This cut is around 1K, and it contains those boxy, roomy, unpleasant frequencies that we don't want. I clearly felt like there was more of it than we needed, so I gave it a generous cut. Let's hear some before and after. We can toggle on and off this band and hear the difference. Nice. All right. Sounds way more focused and clear with the band engaged. Let's move on and look at our next adjustment, which is to the left. This is this subtle cut around 180. Let's isolate this band and hear it. So not too terribly offensive, but I did just want to kind of notch it out in order to better emphasize our true fundamental, which is around 80 hertz. Let's actually just listen to our fundamental now. Let's listen to this band in isolation. Cool. So again, not a dramatic boost here, but both of these adjustments are kind of serving the same goal. We're trying to de-emphasize the excess buildup happening around 180 in order to better emphasize our true fundamental around 80. So that is the thinking behind those two adjustments. While we're here, we can go ahead and apply our high pass. I've set our high pass at around 35, 40 hertz. We don't need all of that excess sub information, so we can go ahead and just clean up our processing chain, get rid of that stuff, and that's it. Those are our adjustments for our main kick track. Let's just quickly hear some before and afters. Nice. Sounds way better. So now you might notice that I didn't make any adjustments at all in our high mids, which is usually a point of interest, right? We want to make sure that the kick's attack sound clearly cuts through the mix. But as you can see, I'm not actually addressing that region at all. And that's because I'm emphasizing our kick's attack sound by utilizing a parallel kick attack track, which is a cool technique that I'm excited to show you. I just took my main kick track and duplicated it, and then on that duplicate's EQ, I high passed it super aggressively. You can see that when we're looking at it, I've set my high pass at around 2K, so I don't want anything to come through except that bright high mid attack sound. We can solo this kick attack track real fast. You can hear what I'm talking about. Nice, so it's doing exactly what we want it to do. It is a track entirely dedicated to just pushing that kick attack sound. Now we're able to create whatever blend that we would like. We can just use the fader on this attack track, pull it up or down depending on how present we would like the attack sound to be. So let's listen to our kick blend. We can turn on and off our parallel kick track and hear the difference. Nice. With it on, it obviously feels way more present and bright on top. Let's hear it in action in the context of the song.
There's a reason why I'm reading.
Wow, the attack track just makes such a world of difference, and as you can see, it was really straightforward to apply. Again, I just duplicated our main kick track. I aggressively high-passed the duplicate, so only the attack sound cut through. This works for toms especially well also. I encourage you to give that a try next time you're mixing and you feel like, oh, why are my toms not cutting through even when I'm really aggressively boosting the high mids of my toms? Go ahead and audition creating a tom attack track. Duplicate the toms, high pass each tom track until you're just getting that high attack click sound, and dial it up and down to create the desired blend. It works wonders with drum shell. So let's go ahead and jump to our next song. This next song is called Goodnight by the Highlanders. They're a great country indie folk band from Louisville, Kentucky. I mixed the song. I did not master this song. Let's go ahead and take a listen and see what we got.
And bloodshot eyes, playing with the sun. Just please don't rise, and I'm trying real hard to convince myself I'm fine. Whiskey smell in the aching.
Okay, great. So let's open up the hood and see what our EQ curves look like. And as you can see, they are just insane, super aggressive, really absurd here. Let's hear our kick in isolation with the EQ engaged, and then we can turn off the EQ, hear what it was like when I originally got it. And then we can turn it off. Wow, so really a dramatic transformation here. The first band I want to look at is this really aggressive cut happening around 220 hertz. It's capturing a ton. Let's hear what this range is. Yeah, so a really overly present low mid buildup happening here. Not uncommon for kicks. It is unflattering for the drum. It's de-emphasizing our true fundamental, and down the line it's going to clutter up that space when we want to make sure that it's free for other instruments, namely our snare. That's where our snare is supposed to be, and meanwhile our kick is just dominating that space. So it's essential that we aggressively notch that out. The next adjustment I want to look at is this subtle boost on the fundamental. Let's hear that range. Cool, so this little boost is pretty wide. It's centered around 85 hertz, but it's wide enough where I'm capturing the entirety of the body, the low body of our kick. I didn't feel like the low end body was underpresent, but I just wanted to make sure that it felt full and impactful. So I gave it a little bit of extra love there. Nothing too dramatic. The next adjustment, just while we're here, is we can turn on our high pass. Again, kind of like always, it's placed at around 25. We do not need any of that sub information, especially for a song like this where it's country. I mean, there's just no need to have any sub information. So we're playing it safe, cleaning up our processing chain, killing that range. The next adjustment to look at is this wide mid-range cut. It's happening at around 700, 800. Let's take a listen to see what's going on. Yeah, it's that unflattering mid-range kind of honkiness, that the roominess that we usually don't like. It's not super offensive here, so you can see that I didn't dramatically cut it, but at the same time, I just wanted to play it safe, notch out that space. We really don't need very much of it, so just cutting it a little bit. And finally, we should look at this insane high mid boost. So obviously, unlike the first song, I did not try the parallel attack track trick, and instead I just kept it old school and just super aggressively high mid boosted. It looks like it's pretty much right on the money. The center is right on the money, at least about 5K. But of course, obviously, it just goes so wide. Let's just hear what this range is capturing. Yep, that's definitely it. It definitely captures our kick's high attack. You can hear also that there is some snare bleed happening. I don't really mind that. I didn't find any issue with that. I didn't mind boosting the presence of the snare as well, especially if that meant that we got a really present clacky kick sound. So for me, it was a worthy sacrifice. Let's just toggle this band on and off. It is a shocking difference. Let's hear. Nice. Awesome. Sounds great. Let's just listen to the kick again before and after EQ. Wow, such a world of difference. This is, again, just such a great example of how extreme you can potentially go. I mean, just to highlight again, our high mid attack boost is incredibly wide, really dramatic at 9 dB. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a serious improvement. It's a huge improvement. I clearly did not second guess making such a dramatic boost. Let's see how it sounds in the context of the song. Full disclosure, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than usual to kind of hear the difference, not because our adjustments weren't effective, but just because the kick is not particularly forward in the mix to begin with. It's still worth our time though. Let's hear the kick before and after in the context of the song.
I was playing with the sun, please don't rise, and I'm trying real hard to convince myself I'm fine. I was playing with the sun, please don't rise, and I'm trying real hard to convince myself I'm fine. Whiskey smell in the air.
So it's subtle, but I feel like I can hear a difference. The kick just feels a little bit more bright, a little bit more clear. So that is that. That wraps it for this Kick's EQ treatment, and that wraps up our Kick deep dive video. I'm so glad that I was able to find a way to show you that parallel attack track technique. Definitely good to just put in your pocket in case you need it. I'll see you in the next deep dive video where we will tackle acoustic guitars.